This is the iPhone 13. This is the iPhone 14, and this is iPhone 15. Notice any difference? Okay, here is another one. Those are the iPhone 11 and the iPhone X. Can you name them? If you can't, you're not alone. This is Apple's biggest problem over the years. And before you start attacking me in the comments, let's look at some numbers. According to Morgan Stanley and UBS report, the iPhone 15 sales in 2024 saw a remarkable decline worldwide, but the main focus was on the top 4. The US, where the sales dropped by 10%, the EU, where it dropped by 17%, India by 14%, and China, where it dropped by a 19%. This has many explanations. Apple says that the reasons for that is out of their hand, like inflation, supply chain, Huawei, and the opposed regulation, which was the reason behind the sales dip in China. But the other reasons that Apple don't want to admit is Apple itself, and these reasons could make an end to the iPhone very soon. The year 2007 was a major turning point for the world. Netflix started their first streaming service, NASA landed on Mars, and Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone in history, the iPhone 1. This was not a normal revelation, as most phones at that time were with small screens, using button or stylus, and if you're lucky enough, your phone will be flipping or sliding. But all this got a hit with the iPhone introduction, and that reflected quickly on sales and audience reaction. Year after year, the iPhone introduced more features and upgrades. The 2007 version, for example, was supporting just the 2G network and had only 2-megapixel camera. The 2008 and 9 version added the 3G network support. The App Store and the GPS feature were also first introduced, and the 2011 version finally got the Siri Assistant, with a glass front and back design and the 8-megapixel camera. Everyone was just curious for the next Apple upgrade. Is the next iPhone gonna have more customizable options? Is it gonna open just with fingerprint? And Apple had really some plans about it, until
death of a man who literally changed the way we live our lives every day.
If there is one word that can summarize Steve Jobs' thinking way, it will be innovation, as he even made it the company's motto, think different. These mottos are not just random words to show off. In fact, they represent the main core of the business. In our case, Apple, thinking differently was the reason behind the invention of the iPod, the iTunes, and the first screen touch mobile, the iPhone. But now the founder is out, and a new leadership is taking place, and so Apple's future. The Senior Vice President for Worldwide Operations. This title is enough for you to understand Tim's impact on Apple. He was the guy behind Apple's supply chain, inventory, and production processes worldwide. So Cook, with that background, knows only 2 recipes: expanding growth and maximizing profit. And that's what Apple is today. Steve Jobs prioritized invention and revolution most time of his leadership, while sometimes risking bankruptcy, of course. Unlike Tim, who prefers stability, but with slow development, and these were the result. I want you to focus with me a bit here, because I never found someone on the internet speaking about such thing. If you understand this concept, you can easily predict the iPhone 16, 17, and the 18 design. Let's go back to the iPhone 1 and jump 10 years after. You will find all models during that time, all built on the same template. From the first version to the 8 version, Apple skipped the 9th version. Until the year 2017, the 10th anniversary of iPhone, Apple released the iPhone 8, which was same as its predecessors, but most importantly, released the iPhone X. The iPhone X is the founding template of all our modern iPhone. With just little tweaks over the years and the introduction of the dynamic island, Apple always followed the rule of the 10 years. That means for people who are waiting for a big change in the iPhone 16, 17, or even 18, that won't happen. But what only changes the price? Maximizing profits with the slowest development. But what about the inside? If there is one thing in the world safer than a Boeing airplane, it will be the iOS. The iOS is one of the most secured things ever invented. All that because everything is controlled and monitored from Apple. This have made a very clean record for Apple against any competitor. But there is a dark side too. The iOS is like North Korea for operating systems, not allowing any third-party competitor to even get in close, like in stores and browsers. I'm hearing someone saying, well, that's normal. Well, no, because that leads to a slow development and adoption of features that are available on others for years. Let's take Siri as an example. Siri is deeply rooted in the iOS, and Apple made it clear from the beginning that they won't let others, like Google Assistant or Alexa, to compete with Siri on the iPhone. And the result were that Siri is way too behind any voice assistant in terms of features and technology. Because when there is no competition, there is no development, and all that led to... In 2020, Epic Games sued Apple over its monopolistic practices. However, years later, Apple was sued by Spotify for the unfair advantages that Apple gives Apple Music over the other apps. And to complete the triangle, the US Department of Justice sued Apple for antitrust violations. If you take those three cases, they all lead to one thing: the App Store. The App Store is the reason many Apple apps don't make improvements. Why would you need to improve when you are the person who sets the rules? In the Spotify case, Apple gave Apple Music unfair advantages over any other music app. The 30% commission that is forced by Apple results in a higher charge for subscription fees, but that doesn't rule on Apple apps, which makes them cheaper and attracts a lot of customers. But what happens when you refuse to pay the 30%? Well, Fortnite can answer that. You get removed from the store and lose an audience of 1 billion users. If you can't build the tallest building in the city, destroy all buildings around you, and you will be the tallest. So after all this, is it the end for iPhone? No, there is a brighter side, and lately we're seeing some great signs from Apple actions, like allowing the sideloading of apps outside the App Store, in the EU of course. But this is a good start. The Apple Intelligence shows a promising level of Apple in the AI race. And you know what's more promising? Is that you watch the full video, and I'm sure you might agree or disagree with me. Let's discuss it in the comment, and while you're there, leave a subscribe and a like. Want to know why Spotify hate Apple Music so much? Check out this next video. Thanks for watching.